In this video, we're going to talk about the different body plans that different animals have. And we can kind of classify these body plans as with regards to their symmetry. So first of all, looking at our periphery, so remember these are our sponges. And our sponges did not have the true tissues as well. So remember, they actually kind of branched off of the other animals pretty early on in the phylogenetic tree. And they are also asymmetrical, meaning that they are not symmetrical. And you can see in this picture here that there's really no symmetry to them. You can't draw a line and divide it into equal parts. Some animals have radial symmetry, and you can see that it's kind of like a circle that is symmetrical. So if you think about a donut has radial symmetry. And so the body parts are arranged around a central axis, and there is a top and a bottom. So you can kind of see here, there's a top and a bottom. But there's really no left or right because it's the same all the way around. So you can see this picture of a sea anemone down here, and you can see that there's no left or right side. We're looking at it from the top down, but there's no left or right. It's just a circle, essentially. Now, with these organisms, you can see here that we could make some cuts to them. So we could essentially make these cuts or planes across this organism, and we can divide it into these kind of equal parts. And these equal parts would be mirror images of each other. We most often find this radial symmetry in sessile. Sessile just means non-moving. Or slow-moving organisms. And this allows the organism to experience the environment from all sides. And that's because these are organisms that generally can't run to or from they can't run towards a prey, they can't run away from a predator, at least not quickly. And so this does allow them to, potentially move around, but they're doing it very slowly, depending on what's going on in the environment around them. And some examples of animals that have radial symmetry would be things like cnidarians, which is our jellies or jellyfish, our adult sea anemones, which we see right here, things like a starfish. So starfish have their kind of these 5 spots to them. But once again, we could divide it into mirror images of itself by cutting along one of these axes. Now, ctenophores, which are the comb jellies, as you can see here, have a type of kind of radial symmetry called rotational symmetry. And that it's not that true radial symmetry that we would find in kind of like a circular organism that could be cut along any of these axes to get mirror images, but you can see that it's still kind of symmetrical in this kind of round sense. So you can see on this, this is just a random geometric image that shows you this kind of radial symmetry. So the other main classification group when it comes to symmetry is bilateral symmetry. And this is probably the most common in the animal kingdom. And essentially a mid-sagittal plane, which is what is being shown in this picture here, would give you 2 equal halves. But there's only one line or one cut or one plane that would give you equal left and right halves. Just like with the human body, if you were to cut it right down the middle, you would be able to get equal right and left parts, but you would have to go right down the middle in order to get the kind of the mirror images of each other. So examples are things like humans, other vertebrates, You can see the goat here. You can see that mid-sagittal plane. This butterfly here, not the greatest picture, but it could be kind of cut along this one plane, and you would have your bilateral symmetry. Now, with bilateral symmetry, it allows for some additional kind of specialization of parts of the body. So, in animals that have bilateral symmetry, they have a head and a tail region, which we call the anterior towards the front or the head of an animal. Posterior is towards the back or the tail of an animal. This allows for something called cephalization. And this is where the nervous system is organized at one end. So essentially, this allows us to have a brain where the nervous system is kind of concentrated in this brain region. And cephalic means head. So this brain is in the head of the bilateral organism. And this allows for more coordinated movement in specific directions. And so animals that have this bilateral symmetry with the ability to have this organized nervous system in a, kind of a brain, it allows the organism to now move purposefully in certain directions. And so this really helps with things like pursuing prey or trying to get away from predators. We also have things like front and back regions. So ventral and dorsal are also terms used for ventral is kind of like the belly, and dorsal would be the back. We would also end up with the right and left side. So as you can see on this goat here, if we were looking at the goat, this would be the goat's left side here. And then the right side would be the side that we can't really see very well.